if I can do half a job like what my mum did for me, being there for someone like the way my mum showed up for me, um, I think that is the most meaningful thing in my life right now.
Have you put a lot of time, energy, effort into your ambitions or your business, and you've not really seen the results you hoped for, and you got discouraged by that, and maybe you felt like giving up, or maybe you are seriously considering giving up? If that's you, then I want to share my story of how I literally got to the point where I gave up not only on my business and my dreams, but I was almost close to giving up on my own life. I'm going to share what I feel actually caused me to fall into a 4-month depression, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to share what I feel helped me get out of that. So if you are in a same or similar position, maybe you're feeling stuck, maybe you're in a bit of a mental funk or a rut, or maybe you're doing it really tough like I was, hopefully this is going to be really helpful for you. So in this video, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my iPad to basically help me with brain dumping and getting everything visually there so you can see how much was really going on behind the scenes. And I'm just going to give you a bit of a timeline. So this video is not going to be the neatest handwriting. It's not going to have super visual, beautiful effects and things like that, animations. It's just going to be raw. It's going to be messy, not in terms of the presentation, but also in terms of my story. And yeah, I just want to keep it super transparent. So let's get into it. So what happened? Well, I fell into an entrepreneurial depression. Now, there were 3 things going on specifically leading up to when I feel it started, which I feel is the root causes behind why I fell into the depression. So the first thing was my mentality. My mentality was absolutely shot. It was incredibly weak, if we want to call it that. And just the way I was seeing life, I was really struggling to cope, and I just had little to no resilience. So my mentality was just incredibly shot. The second thing was my identity. Let's neaten up that D. In that period, the way I saw myself, I think minimized, like I wasn't just minimizing who I was and the way I saw myself. It was literally to a point where I think the way I was speaking to myself and the way I saw myself, you know, playing small doesn't cover it. I think if you could have heard the way I was speaking to myself and the way I saw myself, and if you thought that was me saying and seeing someone else, like another person, you would not want to be around me. You'd think I was a disgusting person. And just the way I saw myself was so unhealthy. Yeah, I was in a really dark spot. And so the way I saw myself, I just hated myself. So my identity was just totally, in terms of who I wanted to be, that goal, that dream, that vision I have for myself, that highest potential, leading up to that, and then when it got to that, I was on the other end of that in terms of the polar opposite. And then the third thing was clarity. I was so foggy, I could not even see how I was going to get out of that. I could not see a clear path. I did not know how to get from where I was to, well, I had these goals and dreams in my head, right? But I couldn't even see a way of just getting out of my current headspace in terms of just shifting that. And just rather than going from A to Z, I couldn't even see how I was going to go from A to B. Everything just felt like too much, and everything felt really overwhelming. And just, it got to a point where it felt like too much. I just felt incredibly stuck and I couldn't even move. So when it comes to my mentality, specifically, my mentality was just broken. In terms of my brain functioning in a way to really help me get out of that depressive period, my brain was just not functioning properly. It just felt like it was just going against me, and I was spiraling. It was a really sort of destructive mentality I had. In terms of the identity I had, imagine like the worst possible word you could put into this part here. Like self-sabotage doesn't even do it justice, but just like the way I tell you what, I know exactly what's going to put in here. The way I saw myself was I just hated myself. That was literally my identity. And then in terms of the clarity part, foggy is an understatement. I just did not see a path forward. And it got to the point where the path it just seemed too hard and too overwhelming. It's just, that's where I just literally thought, well, I don't see a way forward. So I started entertaining, well, you know, what if I just literally jump off this balcony right now in my apartment building. It literally got that bad. So that what was going on. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a timeline of actual events in terms of my journey and my life, and then all the little things which were going on, which led up and led to this big event, which is when I fell into the depression. So just bear with me, and I appreciate you bearing with me so far. So I want to just take you to August 2020. So this period, August 1st, 2020, is when I perceived I really started my entrepreneurial journey. And so that's where I've wanted to help people for so many years. Literally, when I was 18, I wanted to help people make YouTube videos, help people online. Wasn't doing it. Got to August 2020, finally do it. So that was literally 8 years later. And basically, I started showing up every day. I started helping people with money. I knew I wanted to help people. I didn't really know what with to start with, but I was like, I'm good at money. Let's start there. Started getting some clients. I was feeling really good, and I put together like an accountability group with me and some close friends of mine, and really started seeing some forward momentum and progress. Then what happened was I got to around about March 2021. So we've just gone through COVID. We're still in COVID. Well, actually, we're kind of getting out of it because I was living in Western Australia. And basically, the partner who I was with for 6 years, spending every single day, essentially wants to break up. And so I experienced a separation. So this is the first little part of the puzzle, right? So for me, what I experienced was a life event that rocked me. So the separation was one little part of the puzzle piece in terms of what is adding to my mind and what's causing this depression, right? And so the separation was also kind of linked with my identity, because my identity was wrapped around being with her every single day, and then now I'm not really with her anymore. But really, it was just that's sort of what hit my mentality and was added in there. Because to be quite honest with you, I felt I handled the breakup pretty well. I knew sort of what I wanted to do. I can see now I'm free. Now I can really focus on my business and stuff like that. So I moved across the country in Australia, got an apartment, and I just restarted working on my business, which was the money coaching. So fast forward, I basically adjusted, settled down, focused on my business, and I got to a point. So fast forward about a few months, got to around August 2021. And specifically that event, I did something called DMTP. Probably don't know what that is. There's basically a guy, his name's Dr. John DeMartini, and he's a mentor of mine. And basically, he has a methodology which I use for my coaching. It's the primary tool to help people get results and shift their perspectives in terms of reframing certain events which you perceive to be negative and help you with breaking through whatever's holding you back. And so I did this event, and basically what happened was I had an identity crisis. Basically, I had a massive shift in my values. And essentially, what happened was at this event, before, what I was doing was teaching people about money and how to save and how to cut back expenses and stuff like that, and building your money slowly over the year and whatnot. And you'll have a cash cushion, you'll have like emergency savings and get out of debt and stuff like that. Which with the money, what I was teaching people is it's going to take you time and you've got to be patient. With this, I was literally getting people results with his methodology in 90 minutes, an hour for some people. I was getting people instant shifts instantly rather than waiting, days, weeks, months, years for people to see a result pay off sort of thing. And I was really making, in my perception, a meaningful impact on people. Because with the plan I had in my head was I wanted to do money coaching and then build up clients, build up a reputation. And as I get the clients and stuff like that, my business grows in the next few years, I was thinking of transitioning. But literally from when I was really taking the business seriously, which was around January, I basically got to a point in August, which was 6-7 months later, and now I'm having a total identity shift, right? And so specifically, what I wanted to do was I didn't want to do the money coaching anymore. And so I put all this time, energy, effort into my coaching, into building programs, into putting everything together, and then building a website. And
now I'm having this identity crisis in terms of what I actually want to dedicate myself to. And so it was hard because I didn't really want to start over again. I didn't want to waste my time. I was sort of had that sunk cost fallacy. And so this program was really meaningful for me, and it was an identity crisis and a blessing tied into one, because, well, the blessing was, wow, I have this tool where I can really make the impact I want to have on people. But the crisis was literally, I'm stuck between the money coaching and the stuff I put so much effort into, and then now I want to transition into this. That's where my heart was calling me. So that was sort of what was going on. I had a value shift, and sort of I was really struggling with what I wanted to do, and sort of how to sort of make that work. Fast forward to around September 21. What happened was I was building my money coaching website, and to be honest with you, I was really naive. I was really I just had some massive unrealistic expectations. In my perception, I was really focused on building a funnel and a website specifically. And basically, in my head, it was literally, once I build this website, sales is going to be so easy. People are going to come to me and I'm going to make all this money and I don't have to work so hard. I literally just had it so backwards. And I had in my head that once the website's done, I'm going to get clients. And basically around that August 21 and September 21 period, I launched my website, and guess what? It wasn't the magic pill, which I thought it was going to be. And I heard crickets. So I put in all this effort for months and months and months and months and months. And to be honest, I was completely delusional. I thought it was going to solve everything. And it didn't. And I didn't get any clients. Well, to be completely honest with you, I got one client, and it was my best friend. And to be honest with you, I think he felt sorry for me. But around that point, that was basically where my expectations were not met. So another way you can sort of say this is I failed. Now, one thing I've learned is failure itself isn't bad, or failure doesn't hurt. It's really when you expected yourself to succeed and you didn't. That's what hurts. And so for me, I was really discouraged because I just put all this time, energy, effort into something, and it didn't work. It didn't go the way I wanted it to. And so right around September, that period, I was obviously discouraged, and literally got to a point around end of September where I went out with some friends on a night out, and I got really drunk. And basically, the next day I woke up in my apartment and I was really hungover, and I've been working really hard on my business. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a break. Like, I kind of deserve a break. I'm not going to force myself to try and work in this headspace because I'm hungover. So I'm going to chill. I'm going to watch Netflix, and I'm just going to order Uber Eats. I'm just going to chill today. And that hangover lasted 4 months. That hangover lasted 4 months. And from about October 21 till about Feb 22, this period here was my depressive period. That's where I basically had my entrepreneurial depression. In that period, I was really struggling with a few things. So firstly, I wanted to get back out there again. I wanted to sort of, start producing content and stuff like that. And obviously, okay, that didn't work, but whatever. But what really happened was, because of what happened before in terms of my expectations weren't met and I failed, I sort of got to a point where I had fears about failing, and I was sort of holding myself back from trying all these things again because I just didn't want to fail again. It felt so painful. It was just sort of like, I literally, for me, so yeah, fear of failing for me specifically. But really, I had lots of other fears, but that was the main one. And during this period, when I'm sitting in this like funk, right? I'm sitting in this negative headspace, and I'm wallowing in the fact that I didn't succeed. My expectations weren't met, and I'm sort of procrastinating because really I don't want to take those actions again because I have these associations that it's not even going to work. So I'm literally stewing in my limiting beliefs, and I literally had this belief. So for me, the belief was, what's the point? what's the point in even trying? Because in my perception, I'm a failure. My identity, I'd associated with this, that it's like no matter what I do, I'm going to fail. So what's the point? And so no wonder I didn't try anymore. No wonder I stopped, quit, gave up, because I didn't want to experience that negative experience again. And I had these beliefs which was reinforcing it. It's like a vicious cycle, right? As well as that, to imagine, you can see how I'm flushing out. Yeah, no shit, no wonder why you are falling into a depression. But wait, there's more, right? So another thing was, well, I was comparing myself. I'm doing nothing. Okay, I'm going to put my iPad down because this is important. So here's me in my apartment watching Netflix all day. I'm doing absolutely nothing, right? Nothing to grow the business, nothing in terms of taking action to get me closer towards that vision I have for my life. And to be honest, the vision, I didn't have a big vision. It was literally like, imagine you're in a tunnel. It's like that tiny little light at the end of the tunnel, right? So here's me doing nothing. And I'm on Instagram, I'm on social media, and I'm seeing all these gurus and influencers and everyone doing so well. And they're talking about how successful they are. And I'm looking at my reality and I'm not. And I'm seeing my friends and my peers and people who, I've connected with, other coaches and people who are like-minded to me, and I'm seeing them doing really well. And in my perception, here's me, here's them. They're progressing and I'm regressing. And so there's this gap which is forming in my head. And as the gap's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, the stronger and stronger and the worse the depression is getting, the more I'm literally spiraling down and down and down and down and down. And so I'm seeing my thoughts and I know what's going on, right? Like I can see it, I've learned about it, but it's just like I couldn't do anything about it. And, for me, it was like what I really struggled with, that's terrible handwriting, let me write that again. But I couldn't see a way how I was going to get out of it. I couldn't see how I was going to make not only my goals and dreams work. I couldn't not only see like how am I going to achieve this vision I've got for my life and how I'm going to become the best version of myself. If that's where I currently was A, and then Z was that, I couldn't even see how I was going to get out of the depression. I couldn't even see how I was going to go from A to B, right? I just couldn't see a way forward. And it got to the point where all of this stuff is like a reinforcing negative cycle, right? And I'm just spiraling down and down and down. 1 second, there's a B in here. Let me just get this B out. 1 sec. Ooh, okay, never mind, it's gone. But imagine, it's just like one thing's reinforcing the other and I'm spiraling down, right? And so the big thing it got to was it just felt like so overwhelming. If you've ever been in a really rough spot, sometimes even the smallest things like bathing or like going on a walk or socializing, for example, or just any little thing which normally if you're in a normal headspace is fine, in that headspace it's incredibly difficult. And so I knew I had to take action, but I'm not doing it. And then I'm beating myself because I'm not doing it, because I know I'm not doing what's going to help me get out of this headspace and become who I want to be. And literally, because I'm just sort of getting to a point where I'm just giving up on my goals and dreams, it's almost like I started giving up on myself. And then I started almost actually giving up on my life. And the last part was my why was so weak. Like my why for living and my why for making my ambitions and goals and dreams come true was so small that I actually started to get to a point where my why for dying was getting dangerously close to me wanting to live. If you can imagine, there's a reason for living, like a wish to live and a wish to die. It's sort of like, well, these scales are sort of getting dangerously close. And yeah, I had no why in terms of why I wanted to make this entrepreneurial dream work. And, why should I keep going through this? Why should I keep experiencing this? And literally because I couldn't see a clear path out, yeah, it was just, why should I keep going through this? And yeah, I started entertaining these thoughts because that was the only way to solve this problem. I know that there was all these things out there, but in my headspace, in terms of solving it, the solution for me, my how I'm going to solve this was potentially just jumping off the balcony I had in my apartment. And so, yeah, I was in a really bad spot. But the reason why I've done this video, and if you've gotten to this far, you can probably see that, yeah, no wonder you're fucking depressed, right? And the reason why I share this video is because maybe you watching this, you can probably relate or resonate with certain things I've said. And one thing is, I really want to challenge the mainstream model around depression, right? Which at the moment is, okay, I'm feeling depressed. So then you go to a doctor, and the doctor says, you've probably got a biological imbalance in your brain and you're fucked. And so let's get you on some drugs, and that'll make you feel better, and you just got to stay on these for the rest of your life, right? Because, you've got a biological imbalance. Now, one thing is, it's not like I disagree with that. If you're feeling depressed or whatever, yeah, you've got a biological imbalance. Like, I'm not refuting that. Of course, you've not got the serotonin there. And yes, your biology in your brain is messed up. Of course. That's why you're feeling that way. That's the feedback. But that's not the cause. It's the perception of your circumstances is what is depressing. And the way you perceive yourself and your reality, like I did, that is what is depressing you, and that is what is causing your biological imbalance in your brain, most likely. Now, I'm not saying everybody's like this, but if you're watching this, then there's probably certain things which have happened to you which has made you feel this way. And so for me, yes, I was depressed. I literally read what's called the DSM-5. I got to a point where I was like, I think I'm depressed, and I read it, and there's certain criteria. It got to a point where I was just like, yes, I'm sleeping literally 13, 14 hours a day. Yes, I am not going out and socializing. Yes, there was another one like hygiene and bathing, and I wouldn't shower for days. I was depressed, right? And so probably if you took a snapshot of my brain, yeah, biological imbalance, no doubt. But I don't want to put that down and disempower myself and think that, well, I can't do anything about it, my brain. And so then let's take some drugs the rest of my life. This is what the causes was for me. And so now what I want to do is I want to get into, well, how did I get out of it? Okay. So what helped? How did I basically not become depressed, change my depression? Because right now I'm not depressed. So the first thing, which this is where I may get a little bit emotional. The first thing was I actually got help. So I'll tell you a story. I was in my apartment, as I've been in for every single day for 4 months, and I'm avoiding everybody because I had so much shame. I don't want to speak to anyone. People try and check in on me, but I just want to hide because I just felt like a failure. And my mum, she just messages me, and I've not spoken to her for a while either. And she's like, hey, let's catch up. And I felt guilty, and I was like, yeah, I should catch up with her. So we organized a FaceTime, and I put my phone basically at my desk. I remember where I was at my desk, my little study nook in my apartment. And then, ringing, it felt like just dreadful. I was like, I don't want to do this, but did the call. And, the screen pops up, and my mum, bless her, she just goes, hey, darling, how are you? And when you know someone's off, and you'll be like, hey, how are you? Are you okay? I sense you're off. And some people might say, "How are you?" But the tone, what they're really asking is like, are you okay?" She didn't do that. She just did what any mum would do, and she just was just, you know, how are things? Like nothing had happened. And I swear to God, in this moment, it felt like time stood still or just slowed down dramatically. And I literally was sort of in a rock and a hard place in terms of a decision to make, because she's asked me how I am, and what I want to do is I want to lie, I want to protect my ego, and I basically just want to say to her, everything's fine, I'm good. How are you? Right? So I'm wanting to lie, and really, I was gonna lie. I was gonna lie in that moment, right? That's what my head is telling me to do. But then the other decision, which I was battling with, is coming clean, right? And I wanted to lie, but my body, my body and my physiology had another agenda for me. And basically my eyes started watering up and I started getting really emotional. I just broke down. I just broke down in front of my mum, and I just basically said, I'm not doing okay. That moment is so significant for me. And the reason why, if I just do a chart, right? So imagine like I'm feeling really good, and then this happens, and I fall and wallow into a depression, right? And so this was around February 22, right? This was like the tail end of that depressive period, and this was when I had the call with my mum, and this is what a lot of people call rock bottom. This was like the worst part of the whole experience for me. But what I mean by that, it was like I couldn't go any lower. And that was like the lowest I was. And that was the moment where things started turning around for me, because it felt incredibly relieving to tell someone, I've been holding all of this in and hiding myself for 4 fucking months, right? And I literally locked myself in my apartment because I just want to add in, right? I literally, with my values, what's important to me is personal development, helping people, and building my wealth, right? And I wasn't being myself. I literally, in my apartment, I'm hiding from everyone, and I'm not developing. I'm not watching videos. I'm not going through content. I'm not showing up for coaching calls. I'm literally just watching TV. So my values is progressing and developing myself, but actually I'm living against it in my perception, and I'm regressing. I want to be helping people, but I'm too shamed to even want to go outside, right? And then people are messaging me and I'm just ignoring them. I'm airing them, right? And then I'm wanting to build wealth. For me, financial independence, that's a goal I'm working towards. And in that moment, before that moment, I was saving and investing. But literally, I wasn't working in a job because I wasn't working a job because I wanted to make this work. It was an all or nothing for me. And I'd started basically putting savings aside to make this work, and it didn't work. And so I want to go forward financially, but actually I'm going backwards, right? And so my values aren't really getting met. And the most important thing for me is like I wanted to help people, right? But I couldn't even help myself. And so what really helped me start improving and gradually just getting out of that funk was getting help. My mum was the one who catalyzed everything for me, because I felt that relief sharing what was on my mind with her, telling her how it really is and how I'm doing. And she messaged me every single day. She messaged me and checked in on me. She literally, the reason why I'm so moved by this is because I want to help people with this who are going through whatever they're going through right now. They're doing it rough. And if I can do half a job, like what my mum did for me, being there for someone, like the way my mum showed up for me, um, I think that is the most meaningful thing in my life right now. And so, I can't just credit just my mum, because just my mum just asking, in Australia we have something called "Are you okay?" day, and my mum basically just asked like, "Are you okay?" but just like, "How are you?" And that's what literally saved my life. That was a defining moment for me, and just the relief I had telling her, and like, okay, I really want to change. I'm ready to change. I then told my dad how I was going. I felt comfortable enough to tell him I'm not doing well. I told my sister, and then I got their support as well. And then I started feeling comfortable to tell my best and closest friends to me, and they started showing up for me. And I'm so grateful for that, because I think sometimes with people who are ambitious and have, you know, a value on developing themselves and being the best version of themselves, there's almost like a pride attached to that, and thinking like, after watching all these videos and stuff, we should have it all figured out and we should be able to do this all on our own. But sometimes when we're doing it tough, like leaning on other people to help you out is sometimes what we need. We just need that. And so these people were there for me in my time of need, and they really helped me with just getting back on track. And not only did I get help from people and I started reaching out, but also I hired my own coach. So basically everything I do with my clients, working through all the sort of stuff like this, I actually hired my own coach to help me with all of this stuff as well. So everything I've done in the circle, all the blue stuff, his name's Andy. Massive shout out to Andy Campbell, because he was the one who basically helped me chip away at all these things. And I'm not saying like I recovered from this depression immediately. I reflect, and I was a shit client. Or let's reframe that. I was a challenging client because my headspace was just so dark, so negative, and he really was patient with me, held space with me, and just with the DeMartini method, which I talked about in the training program, what I did, he just did exactly what I knew works because I've used it with other people. He did that on me, and he helped me just solve all these little problems, right? And just bit by bit, when I started to really know my values and started to prioritize those again, when I started to get clearer, not crystal clear, but clearer on what I wanted, why I wanted it, and how I was going to get it. And when we started working on reframing the life events, like, so for example, the separation, we started reframing that and seeing not that as a bad thing, but actually there's a blessing there. And when it comes to failing, like the business not working out and my expectations not being met, seeing how that was actually a blessing too, and stopping the comparison and changing my limiting beliefs, how I saw myself, just week by week by week, we just worked on things. And I was just taking those actions and just taking baby steps. But by just getting help and working through all of these things, which I've listed here, bit by bit by bit, my life started to improve. And now I've gotten to a point where not only am I, in my perception, I'm not depressed anymore, but also I'm using this exact same stuff which I went through and what I've learned has caused me to fall into that, to help other people who might be stuck, struggling, they're in a funk, in a rut, or maybe even feel deep down that they're depressed like I was. So I'm going to wrap up the video, but the biggest thing I can really say is if you're feeling stuck right now, rut, funk, depression, whatever you want to call it, if you just know that you've got these goals and dreams in your head and something's not working and you know that you're holding yourself back, but you don't know why, I would invite you to try and reflect on what's been going on for you and maybe take inspiration from me, what specifically has been going on for you, which has really caused you to feel this way. Take some responsibility and accountability here and just look honestly and reflect. And one thing is I've actually made a free resource if you are feeling stuck right now. And basically, firstly, what it does is it helps you just reflect on how it is right now. How stuck are you and how bad is it? It might be confronting if you do it, but one thing what helped me realize that I'm actually depressed was looking at that DSM-5, that criteria, answering questions and realizing, and it was like putting a mirror up because I was trying to avoid it, and it was like plain as day, like there's a problem here. So the first part of this free tool I've got is it helps you just realize and helps you reflect in terms of like, how stuck are you? And then from there, in terms of this circle here, the 9 steps, I basically put that into a tool where you can rank yourself against these areas as well. Because some things on here might not be impacting you, but let's say you've had a life event like a divorce, or maybe you've had a baby, or maybe your partner cheated on you, or maybe you lost a load of money or whatever, or you lost your health. If something tragically happens to you, that could be just the one big thing which has made you feel like you've fallen off track and feeling stuck. And so this tool can just really help you with analyzing what you feel has contributed most to you feeling stuck. And because just like I did, I just started working through these things, chipping away at it, and all the little things I worked on, they added up and they compounded. There's compound interest in terms of investing, but also in terms of taking action on all these things, you also have compound interest too, in terms of yourself and your psychology and your mental health. So if you're feeling stuck, there's a free resource. It's absolutely free. And I guarantee you it'll be valuable if you feel stuck and if you feel like this is going to help you get really clear on where you're stuck. Because a quote I love is, a problem well defined is a problem half solved. So if you're feeling stuck, the first step is just realizing what has caused you to feel stuck. Why do you feel this way? What are the root causes? It's like the iceberg, right? You feel stuck, you feel all this way, but beneath the surface, there's stuff going on, like with me, right? So I'd encourage you to use that tool. When I made this tool, I literally got to a point where I was like, I wish I had this. I wish someone had given me this tool so I could really realize what was going on for me, so I can start working on this rather than get into a rock bottom moment where I just basically had to learn that the hard way. So I really believe that this is the first step in helping you get unstuck. And then secondly, I'm not saying this to subtly hint in terms of, well, work with me and get some help and work with me, but I'd encourage you, if you're feeling really stuck and in a really dark place, especially on this journey, is those people in your life who are like-minded and who you feel comfortable enough to talk to, but maybe you've not. I'd invite you to challenge yourself and just be vulnerable and just share how you're going with them. And if you don't have anyone in your life, you don't feel you can really share that to anyone, then message me, shoot me a DM on Instagram, or even better, there's also another link in the description of this video. And if you want to share whatever's been going on for you, I'll actually make you a personalized YouTube video for you. And you can just tell me what's going on. I can maybe give some tips, tricks, advice, or whatever perspectives to just help you through that. So the tool, in terms of just helping you become more aware of what's been going for you, like a self-assessment and a checklist, the link's in the description. And as well as that, if you want to reach out to me, you can shoot me a message on Instagram or click the link in the description to request me making you a free video. But I just wanted to make this video to let you know that I feel you. I felt the same way. And what I found is, I found that I got through it, and I found that you can get through it too. But it requires being ready to change. And the tool I've made, that's going to really help you maybe be ready to change. And that's it. So if you liked this video, make sure you like it. It really helps me out, and make sure this gets out to more people so I can help more people. And if you want to see more videos like this to help you get unstuck, help you bounce back from whatever you're going through, then subscribe. Or maybe if you just watched this video and enjoyed it, but you feel like you're doing great, maybe subscribe and save this channel for a rainy day whenever you fall into a rough spot. And that's it. I'll see you in the next video.